Perfect.
So today I'm going to talk to you about buying profitable websites. What can you expect? Why should you look into buying a website? What kind of returns are there in the market? How to maintain, how to find a good deal, and a few other things. My name is Michael Bereslavsky. I run a company called Magnate. We buy and sell established websites and online businesses. We manage a portfolio of websites. We also broker businesses and manage websites for clients. I've been personally involved in this since about 2005, and we currently have a team of 10 employees. So before we get into it, quick show of hands please. How many people here bought a website before? Anyone? Right, we have quite a few. And for how many of you was this website profitable? Alright, so that's most. That's pretty good. Has anyone bought like more than 5 websites?
Probably.
Okay, we have a few professionals. I have to be careful. Alright, so let's get into the opportunity. Why should you look into buying an online business? The simple answer is that profit. Online businesses and profitable websites are generally priced based upon their revenue multiple, the profit multiple. And currently, the average in the market is around 2.5 years worth of profit. So what it means is that to get $1,000 in monthly profit, you would expect to pay something like $25,000 to $30,000. And that's pretty good. Not many investments give you that kind of return. But of course there is a few things you need to know and you have to be careful about it. It's a rapidly growing market. So when I was starting out back in 2005, 2006, there were no marketplaces. There are no established brokering firms. If you wanted to buy a website, you would go on a forum, like the forum, or another webmaster forum, and you would ask if anyone is looking to sell. Or you would look at different forums or communities to see if anyone posted something for sale. There was no organized way to buy an established online business. And now, especially in the past few years, the market has transformed tremendously. We currently have some big marketplaces. We have well-established brokerage firms. We have also small brokers that cater to a specific niche, specific type of website, a specific budget. And we also have escrow companies that deal with websites specifically. Another important factor to consider is there is a very wide range of opportunities. There's a very wide range of websites you can buy. You can buy websites from as little as less than $100. Some of the first websites I bought, in fact, they're just $100. And you can expect to get a website that will make you a little bit of revenue, that will be profitable even for $100. And you can go all the way up to thousands of dollars, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and all the way up to millions for well-established online businesses. There is also a very wide range of types of businesses you can buy and the kind of requirements that they have for maintenance and how they are run. Before we go further, does anyone have any questions about the opportunities, about the market in general? Yeah, great.
Soon.
Everything is clear. So how do you get started? Now, the biggest mistake that most first-time buyers make is they just jump into the market. They don't really take the time to figure out what kind of websites they should be looking for. They just jump into the market, start looking at different deals, comparing profits and numbers, and then they go and buy something that looks like a good deal. But what happens after they purchased it is they realize they don't know what to do next. They don't know how to manage a website. They don't know anything about SEO. They don't know how to get a content writer. They don't really understand design. And any website requires a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of maintenance. So in order to prevent that, before you get into buying, you should figure out a few things. You should define what kind of website you want to buy. And of course, the first thing to get started is figure out your budget. How much are you looking to spend? This should be an amount that you are confident that you are willing to lose, because this is an online business, this is risky. I always recommend starting small. Go spend, take a budget and spend 10% of it, 5% of it on buying a first website, just so you could get a feel for it. Just so you could see that you can actually manage it effectively, that you can actually do all the different things that need to be done. And once you are more confident, go and buy something bigger. After you've figured out your budget, you should really look into your key competencies, or key competencies of your company, your organization, your team. What are some things you can do better than others? And this will give you an advantage in managing and growing this website. For example, maybe you provide SEO services. You have a good team, you are quite knowledgeable in SEO, so you can buy websites that get mostly organic traffic. And you can grow them further, you can increase traffic and revenues. Maybe you run a web design company, so you can look for what type of businesses that do web design, or that sell WordPress themes, or sell all kinds of logo or other design services. Maybe you don't have any specific skills that translate to managing a website, but you are good at organizing things, you are good at management. So you can look for complicated websites that have all kinds of different things that need to be done, and you can usually buy them much cheaper because no one wants to deal with that. And so you would hire people, you would set things in motion, and you would be able to create effective processes and make it more efficient and optimize the monetization of the website, and to give you an advantage that would allow you to grow this website or an online business further. So it's really important to define your key competencies and kind of stay within the range of those competencies, so that you buy a business that you can effectively manage. There is a few basics that you need to know. It's not that many things, and we are going to cover that in one of the next slides. You should also consider how much time do you really have to spend on this online business that you are going to buy. Maybe you have 8 hours a day, so you can buy something that requires full day's work. Or you only have 2 hours a week, so you would want to focus on the kind of businesses that do not require a lot of your personal time or even your team's time. And it's important to have a plan. Even before you go and buy, before you do a transaction, define the exact plan. And there could be many different strategies. You could be buying some small sites and try to build a portfolio around a specific niche that you have an interest in. You could be buying some one established big business and then focus on growing it further. Or you can buy small websites and just try to flip them. That's what we do with domains, right? You can buy some small websites, but in comparison to domains, you can actually grow these websites and increase their value, and then you'll be able to sell them for a profit. So let's say you buy a website for $500, you increase the revenue and you sell it for $1,000. Then you feel more comfortable, you go and buy a bigger website for a few $1,000s. You improve it, increase it, and you sell it for more. And this is a strategy that we use as well. So for example, last year we bought a website for $50,000. It was an affiliate website with content, and we added some more content. We improved some positions in Google, added some backlinks, improved the monetization, fixed up some links, and we managed to increase revenue. And 6 months later, we sold it for $165,000. And that is a strategy as well if you want to focus on short-term gain. So to sum it up quickly, figure out your budget, know what you are good at, learn some basics, and then have a plan. Where to buy? The simple answer is everywhere. Now there is quite a few different places that provide listings for websites, for online businesses. So one of the biggest ones is Flipper. How many people here use Flipper? Right. Quite a few people, because they also sell domains. There is also a category of brokerage websites, like Empire Flippers and ours, Magnate, and the brokers generally have different listings of websites they are selling, and you can review them, you can request more information. The benefit of going with a broker, and it's usually for bigger websites, is that they usually check their listings, so they usually do some basic due diligence so that you know you're not getting scammed most of the time. And you can also buy on forums, you can also buy on Facebook. There's many Facebook groups. Pretty much any Facebook group about SEO, about marketing, there are people that have established websites and they want to sell them. You can buy websites anywhere. You can ask your friends if they have any websites that they're looking to sell. And that is also a good approach that I generally recommend people. Once you know what you're looking for, once you know the type of site, the type of budget, you just search everywhere and you're constantly on the lookout so that when an appropriate deal comes up, you will know if it fits or not. And so the main difference between going with a broker and just buying directly somewhere is that a broker would have it a little bit reviewed. There would be some due diligence. On other marketplaces, you have to be aware of fraud, so you have to know how to check, how to verify some numbers. And this comes into the next topic. How to buy, how does the process of buying actually work? Do we have any questions before we get into it? Alright, everything is clear. So an important aspect of the buying process is deal structure. This is especially relevant for bigger online businesses and not just small websites, let's say from mid 5 figures or so. And the way it comes into play is you would want to have the seller on your side. So you want to have the kind of deal structure that ensures that the person that sold your website is going to help you grow it further, is going to teach you, to teach your team, your employees, how to maintain this business properly. And that is very important. Because sometimes what happens is people buy a business and they run it and they quickly realize that there are so many different things that they had no idea are even going to be important. They had no idea that there are so many different tasks that you have to do. So one way to structure a deal would be to pay, for example, 50% of the price up front and then do monthly payments. And those payments could be conditioned upon the website performance. Like you could pay half the revenue for the next 10 months or 12 months. Or you could have them conditioned upon the seller's support. If he gives you a certain amount of his time and answers your questions, because you want to ensure that he's available. And structuring a deal in this way helps you reduce risk, because if it doesn't go well, you only lose half your money, not everything. And it also helps you ensure that you get that extra support in the transitional period. Generally, most well-sized deals are done through escrow. We use escrow.com. Many other brokers also have their own sort of escrow system that they use. And the key is generally that you do not want one side to have both the asset, the business, and the cash, the money. There is also an important aspect of the process is having a non-compete. So generally, when you buy a website, the seller might have several other different websites on the same niche.
I tried uploading it.
And sometimes what happens is if you don't really check that and don't verify that, he's gonna sell you one website and then go and focus on his other two websites and try to rank them for the same keyword, for example, if it's organic traffic. And you will find out after you bought it, your website was, let's say, on the second position in Google for a main keyword. And then he pushes his other websites and they go up and your traffic suddenly drops. And this happens quite often. So it's really important to check that the person you are buying from doesn't have any other very similar websites that would be in their competition. If he does, try to include them in the deal. And also try to have him sign a non-compete. And like I mentioned earlier, after-sales support is very important to ensure a smooth transition, to ensure that you know what you are doing and you can take care of this business properly. There is a few things that you need to learn, not that many, just a few basics so you can better understand, better evaluate deals. Now, who knows what these two logos represent? What is the first one? Anyone?
WordPress.
That's right, WordPress. So about 30% of all websites currently are powered by WordPress. And among the websites that you will be buying, it's actually a lot higher. So there's a very good chance that you will buy a WordPress website. So you have to know how to use it. It's quite simple. It just takes a few hours to learn the basics. You only need to know some very simple things, how to log in, how to log out, how to add some new posts, how to use categories, and all the basic stuff and plugins. Now, who knows what the second one means? What's the second logo? Anyone? That's a bit more complicated. That's right, this is Google Analytics. So this is the most popular software for statistics, for tracking visitor information. And it's used in a majority of websites, especially the kind of websites that people generally sell. It's very important to know how to use it so that you can perform your due diligence, so that you can review a website. And there are a few simple aspects of it. So what we generally do is we would look at the trend. You want to see if the trend is going up, is it going down, and you want to look at it from a shorter window, like 30 days. It's going down 30 days, going up, stable, and a longer window, maybe a year or two. Next, it's important to see the traffic sources. Where is the traffic coming from to this website? And the top content, one of the pages that I like to check the most, to see if you have maybe one page that receives like 80% of the traffic. And that's high risk. Generally, it's better to have the traffic spread out between different pages. And once you get accustomed to it, once you know how to use it quite a bit, you will be able to spot some complications, some problematic things. For example, I've seen a few fake Google Analytics stats, and we get occasionally websites that have fake stats, and people just it's quite easy to do a fake Google AdSense screenshot. But when you've seen quite a few of them, you will just be able to recognize immediately. For example, you will see the numbers just look artificial, like 509, 510, 511. It never happens like that. There is always a good range, there is always some randomness. So these are some of the things that you want to look at. So before we get into it, I would like to also mention a little bit about strategy. So like I mentioned before, it's important to have a strategy. And what I generally recommend for first-time buyers is once you've defined your specific criteria in terms of budget, in terms of the type of website to look for, you should also have a checklist. A checklist that will allow you to quickly evaluate different deals. And this will depend on what specifically you're looking for. But a few things that should be present are, for example, checking the seller. Is this a real person? Is this someone that looks respectable, trustworthy? Or is it just someone that has a completely fake name and tells you, trust me, it's going to be great. After you've kind of looked into the seller, look into the business, into the traffic, how into the revenue, what is the source of revenue, look into the trends in the niche, in the industry. And there could be many other checklist items specific to your business that you want to buy. So if it is an e-commerce business, for example, you want to review the funnel. You want to see how the visitors are buying. Do you have all these different marketing tools set up? Are the campaigns well organized? And there is also two different sides to this due diligence process. The first is the sort of negative due diligence. There you want to find some potential problems. You want to see what are some things that are potentially risky that could cause the revenue to drop. And the other part, which is even more important sometimes, is to look at the opportunities for growth. How can you increase this business? How can you increase the revenues? How can you grow the traffic? How can you turn this business to a business that's going to be 2, 5 times bigger? So this should be part of your strategy, having this checklist and having your initial criteria and funneling all the different deals that you see, and that will allow you to quickly evaluate deals and find the ones that could be a good match and then look into them further. So a quick summary of what we've discussed today. There are some really good opportunities in buying an online business. Before you get into it, you should prepare, you should study the market, you should know yourself, you should learn a few basic things. And depending on the niche, on the industry you are getting into, the learning process could be a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. There could be a few different things. For example, if you want to buy e-commerce websites, you should know how to use Shopify, because most e-commerce sites nowadays use Shopify. There are a few other basic or technical things, like if you again want to buy an e-commerce site, you should have some basic understanding of how AdWords, or how Facebook traffic works, and how funnels work, how visitors come to your website, and what do we do next, and how are they added to the mailing list, do they have a good thank you page, and all these different little things that you should learn about to be able to evaluate sites properly. And again, start small. Go by a small site first. Once you feel more comfortable, go for something bigger. Do you have any questions? Go ahead, James.
Take the mic.
Yeah, so a quick question.
You want the mic?
Yeah, a quick question regarding protection for yourself. You say you use Flipper. Well, obviously you're the buyer, not the seller. So how do you get them to change their contract so it's beneficial for yourself, do you bid before you contact the buyer, or do you get them to update the terms of the sale on Flipper and then you make the bid? Do you protect yourself before you buy? I guess that's what I'm asking.
That's a good question. So, first of all, you should definitely talk to the seller before you make a bid, before you consider buying. You want to talk to him a little bit to see if it's someone trustworthy, to see if you can expect him to provide some after-sales support. And again, you should kind of have this checklist, and then you just go through your checklist and see. First, you will see the seller. Okay, you research him a little bit. Does he have some social profiles? Does he have some pictures of his family? Is he a real person? Or is it just someone hiding behind some, some fake name? Next, you would see, for example, the business and review all the different things. Now, in terms of a transaction, if you buy a website on Flipper, they have escrow, so you can use the Flipper escrow, and they hold the money, and they only release the money after you've received all the website, you received everything, and you are happy with it, and you click the accept button. So that's a protection. The way we do it is we generally do something similar with escrow.com, or we just pay sellers directly as brokers. We also have some sellers that want to sell, that want to get paid in Bitcoin, or that want to do all kinds of different transactions, so we try to accommodate people.
So on Flipper, because I've never used Flipper before, I've never bought a website before, in their terms and conditions, you mentioned that they protect you. How long do they protect you from? And in addition to that, as far as the guarantees that you would receive from the seller, do you get a contract? Do you actually create a contract, send it to the seller before you agree to the sale? So is there kind of like a double protection there, or?
Okay, so in terms of contracts, we usually do it, but we do it for kind of high value deals. So let's say starting from $10,000, because if you buy a website for $500, there is not much sense to go and write a contract. But if you buy a bigger site, you definitely should have a small contract. Flipper does sometimes provide you with contracts, not always. So it depends on if it's a premium listing, if it's there are different types of listings. So what we do in terms of contract, we usually include the non-compete. We include the after-sales support, and we try to make sure that we have an incentive for the seller to actually provide that after-sales support. So we would generally have some kind of delayed payment, maybe just 10% of the sale. Now in Flipper, I think currently you cannot do this. So if you buy directly on Flipper, you have a short window, just maybe a few days after you receive the website, and you make sure everything works, everything is fine, and then you are kind of expected to click the approve and have the money sent to the seller. So that is an added risk.
Okay, and one last quick question. As well as factoring the time of your employees, do you also factor in the cost of developing the site before you bid?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is generally, we have a profit and loss file that we have our clients fill out, and there is, we want to have the cost, so the way we structure it is we do not really account as much for their time because it's difficult to estimate what their hour is worth. So we would have a quick look and see what are the tasks that need to be performed and have a sort of estimate of how much would you be expected to pay to a virtual assistant or to a contractor to do this kind of tasks. And this is also a very important aspect of buying a business. Often you may see the seller who is just doing all the work himself, and you have to take into account that you have to hire some people, you have to outsource these tasks, so you have some high expenses. All right. Okay. More questions?
Sure. You mentioned that you try to encourage the sellers to provide after-sales support, but what if that's not possible? Are you able to facilitate the buyers with perhaps business development support or SEO help, stuff like that?
Yeah, we do that. We generally make sure that we provide, at least for the first 1 or 2 months, we provide free support to buyers in terms of any technical issues, and we have our team just go and fix things quickly if something breaks. And we also tell them a little bit about how to hire people if they don't know, and we also provide some contacts of different contractors that we worked with before that they can employ directly. So sometimes indeed the seller just did not be able to provide after-sales support, or will just not want that, he will just want all the money up front. And in most cases it's important to have an alternative to be sure that you can manage it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.